Welcome back to part 3 of the XY milling vise rebuild. Been having a little rethink about whether I'll chop those dovetails off or not, but I'll go through that in a minute. So let's wander over here and I'll show you what else I've been doing. Alrighty, I said I might try my hand at scraping, and I had to play with this. I revisited Steph and Gottswin's video that I'd watched before on how to sharpen these things. And he's using a piece of cardboard, and that ain't a piece of cardboard, but anyway, I had a crack at it, and I've actually put 4 screws in here. And I forgot, it's actually Songkran here at the moment, which is Thai New Year, and to the Thais, Songkran is treated the way we treat Christmas in the West, where all the family gets together and all the rest of it. So my wife and daughter are up country at the moment, and so is half the population of this town, and a lot of the businesses are closed, including my little engineering place. So these are only 5mm screws I had, so that's what I'm using at the moment. So I've got most of that rock out of it up this end here now. I've got to get way up the end there now before I get any of it, so I'm pretty happy with that. What I had been doing, I tried bluing these, and the blue was telling me almost nothing. So what I ended up doing was, I was running this dry with the gib in there, and the gib was leaving little brass marks, which would show me where I needed to remove it. Now I don't really want to do this, but I'll show you just what I was getting, what sort of results I was getting. And you can see I've had to grind that edge there to make sure I can get white down in the corner, but I'll give it a little scratch and you can see. Alright, not prepared to go much further than that. This is the actual stuff I've got off it, scraping it. Hope you can see that. I was trying to save it all and brush it into the dustpan when I was finished all the time. Mainly because it rusts like hell. I'm going to rust stains here already. But that's what I scraped off. And you can see there, that's about what I was getting. So let's get a cloth and wipe that off before I forget about it. But anyway, so that was a reasonable success. And we'll move on to the next bit. And like I said, I'm not sure whether I want to chop these off or not. Right. A long time ago I started to build something that I could make dovetails with, and it was an abject failure. But I'm starting to wonder if I should revisit it and try and make it good enough to do. And rather than trying to machine it off, just grind it off with that diamond cutter. The idea of the mess that it'll make just doesn't do much for me, I'm afraid. So I'm going to think about it a little more, whether to cut these off. I might actually have a crack at trying to grind these, but I'll move everything over to the old table that I work off and we'll see. Well viewers, before you lies my dilemma. This is the useless bloody grinder I made originally. It's got 2 magnets in it. I was just checking it before. I'd be hard pressed to grind the edges of these to sit in here. Side. It's the right height for it, but these magnets in the centre here, the magnets grab it really well. But by the time I drag it out here, so that I can grind the edge of it, they don't hold it very well anymore, and I'd have to try and clamp it. This motor spins up really well. The little tracks I made, they're rubbish. They just rock and carry on, so they're useless. Now the option is to, and this is the plate I want to use for my table, is to bolt them along the edges there. Problem is, this bit of plate's not flat. It's got a bit of a bow in it, so I've got to get that out of there anyway. And then after that, this is the piece I bought that will get bolted to the top of here, and will run between these rails. So I don't know which way to go. I don't think I can chop them off, to be honest with you. Well, I'll go away and think about it some more. Well viewers, after pondering this most of yesterday and sleeping on it last night, I decided to take what I think is the only way out, and that is to try and grind those dovetails. So I've stripped this out, I'm going to cut these 2 beams out. This is the old cross slide off the lathe. So I'll use it for my in-out adjustment. That's why I need to take these out to get it down a little lower. I still have 2 of these that I bought when I made the magnetic drill press, and I still have some of the 16mm shaft I bought to use in that. Don't really have enough to go 2 lengths, full lengths here, so I'm going to have to get creative, and I'll have one big long one and one shorter one, but that won't matter because when the carriage comes back, the shorter one can stop here, it won't matter. But anyway, that's the plan, and I'll bring you back when I think I've got it all right. Alrighty, quick update so we don't make this video any longer than it needs to be. Made up carrier for these 2 rails. Got the rail mounted in here. Made up clamp for this end. We're just going to weld that to the end plate. Now, the second rail, I don't have one, and this is the plan, Stan. I'm going to make a little bracket up like that, and on there I'll fit 2 of these little the bearings. It'll run along the top of this piece of angle line here, and I'll mount it on a single bolt like that, so if there's any lumpy bits in there, it won't bounce up and down. Hopefully it'll just ride over them, because it does lean back this way a little at the moment. It is heavy on the back end, so it shouldn't be too hard to keep it sitting down on there. Not one to climb up, although I'll have to hold it down probably. This, I think I'm going to have to move up, higher up. I think I'm going to have to pull that thing. Everything's just sitting here at the moment. Nothing's welded together, because if I have to drill these plates, I'd rather do them in the drill press than sitting there on the bench. I think I might have to cut these off a bit, shorten that up, and then I'll just put a piece of angle line in there and put that through there. I've got that old 45 tooth gear somewhere with this thread on it, so I'll just use that as a wheel and to wind this in and out. So that's where I'm at. I don't really need much travel in that, just need to be able to adjust it in and out. So that's where I'm at. I'll keep working on it. I had a dull bugger moment yesterday afternoon when I was cleaning up, and I was moving the base, and I dropped the damn thing on the floor and smashed the handle off, and it even sheared off the cap head that mounts the lead screw nut. Pretty peeved about that. Lucky I didn't drop it on my foot because it's pretty bloody heavy. Well viewers, at this point I should be saying, here we go, all done. Let's grind some dovetails. But I've struck a problem. This all works nice in here. Put a handle on here so I can roll it backwards and forwards. But it rolls up so far and then it'll just stop, like someone put the brakes on. Look. Bang, bang, dang. It's just... I'll move the camera in a minute and I'll show you what it is, because it's just pissed me off like you wouldn't believe. I'm really peeved about it. These are those little rollers I put in there. There's 2 of them. They're on a bolt so it can actually rock like that and follow this bar. So if there's any lumps and bumps in it, they won't jump up and down. It should just ride it out. I'm hoping you can see this. Just here, there's a heap of little marks in the bar. This is only a piece of SS400, and there's more here that I can feel, and there's more up here, and there's some more up here. These are only old cheapo bearings that I bought, and I think the inside of them is not machined very well, and the balls are too loose in there. Plus this is just a touch under 16mm, and I think what's happening is the balls are rolling over each other and then just biting into the bar. And I've polished it a few times and it just keeps chewing it up. So I've had to order a proper linear rail. It's going to cost me 1,000 baht, and I don't know how long it'll take to get here. So this will have to go on the back burner until it does. But anyway, so that's the way it is. I'm pretty pissed off about this thing not being no good. So I'll wait to see that other linear rail gets here and we'll get some rails ground. Well viewers, it's a week and a half since I ordered that linear rail, and it's not even in Thailand yet. It's cleared Chinese customs and it's on the way to Thailand, which can take a week or more sometimes. But generally once it gets here, it'll clear Thai customs in a day or so. So hopefully it'll be here in the middle of next week. By rights, I should be publishing this in a day or so, but that won't be happening. So it will be a week late coming out. I didn't want to publish a half-finished video, so I'll put it off for a week and you'll get to see something else instead, or you could have watched something else instead. I went out to the steel place yesterday looking for odds and sods, because the good news is I've already started working on the mill while I'm waiting for bits to arrive for this XY table. I picked this up, and the good news is it's flat, so I don't need to try and make it flat. Problem is it's 10mm narrower and it's 20mm shorter, but it's no big deal. And but what it has done is messed up the layout I had in mind for the top of the table. I've got some other bits of steel coming at the moment set under these, but one's going to be too narrow, so I might actually end up with a slot on the outside here. I don't know, we'll see when it gets here. I'll lay it out again. But anyway, that's where we're at, and there's one other good piece in use, and hang on a sec. Those tips I ordered from AliExpress, well, mentioned I think in the last video, finally showed up. Only 3 days shy of 7 weeks after I ordered them. Bloody ridiculous. But anyway, so I'll keep playing the waiting game, and in the meantime, I'll keep working on the mill. So keep an eye out for that. It'll come soon. Well, viewers, I've got to tell you, I'm not looking forward to drilling and tapping the 52 holes required to bolt all of this down. So I'd best get on with it. I'm not actually going to bolt these from the top, I'm going to bolt them from the bottom. That's why I'm going all the way through. No way of clamping this on here, so it's going to be hard once I get out here. Actually only going to drill the centre ones, this row across the centre here to start with, so that I can bolt them down. You may notice them springing up and down. Time to turn it around. Once I've got all these bolted up, the heads will hopefully be just below the top of this. I'm going to weld them all up. If you've spotted the staggered centre punch marks here and you're wondering why, it's because this one's wider and there's got a fair bit of overhang here, so I just wanted to spread that load out a bit. Well viewers, yippee-ki-yay, look what just showed up. About time. It's Tuesday today, and I did say I thought it might be Tuesday or Wednesday. It's a bit late in the afternoon to be doing any grinding and I want to check a few things and make some changes. Once I've got this in and make sure everything slides well, I want to put a couple of stops up here, so I'll drill and tap some holes and bolt them on once I know that that's in the right spot, so the next one when I put it on will go back in the same place. But anyway, let's see if this thing will come out and improve things any. Right, $1 million question. How well does it slide? I think it might actually be those little rollers on the bottom. Well viewers, all is not well. I did some checking yesterday afternoon and just did a little bit of a test grind, and this is bloody awful here, it's horrible. And the problem lies in this damn bearing. It's just rubbish. I don't can see how much movement that's got in it, but it's garbage. So I dived down the road and I bought this great lump of nylon, and this morning I'm going to machine up a bush for this. But anyway, I'll make a nice long one that'll fill the entire gap between the back of that, the other one, and the front of this. So I'll get on with that. Alrighty, so I've got that bush made and fitted it up. Slides nice now. Absolutely no play. I'll show you a little bit and then I'll turn the camera off, and when I get closer to the end of it I'll turn it back on. That's going to take quite a while. I'll bring you back later when I get closer to having that finished. Well, to this point this has been a several hours waste of bloody time. This thing keeps getting tight. It just keeps getting tight all the time. I actually pulled the nylon bush I made out at one stage and halved it so there wasn't so much friction on here. I've been spraying the bar with some silicone spray as a lube so it doesn't attract too much crap. I think part of the problem is these two little things don't run like running along here, and things that push it around. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but this end here is wider. It comes along, it's all about the same width until you hit about here, and then it goes, it gets wider. And I think that's been caused by these rollers up this end. But that's about where it is. I'm going to make a couple of minor changes to this thing tomorrow. Wednesday afternoon's an afternoon I have a couple of beers with mates of mine. I've been doing it for years. So I've got to clean up now, and I'll go off and drown my sorrows and get back into this tomorrow. Well viewers, new day, new approach. I knocked up this jig this morning so that it holds it at the right angle, so if I can keep the, as long as I can keep the saw blade straight up and down, I should get a pretty good representation of that, and then all I have to do is dress it up. And to be honest with you, it looks pretty damn good. That's a bit hot, that thing. But anyway, get on with it. I'd like to say, viewers, that's come up pretty good. This one, they're almost perfect, except this is a little deeper on one end. I tried it on the top of the little device base before, and it just fits in there beautifully. That one I don't want to touch because it's a bit hot. But that's the one I was trying to grind originally, and this is the bit that's just come off it. This bit here. I spent bloody hours trying to grind that bit. And it's taken about 15 or 20 minutes to cut that off. So hopefully with just a bit of a polish up, and we'll be right. Forgot to mention, this is how many blades it took, plus a new one for the last half inch or so of this one that I cut. So I went through them with only 1mm blades, and you do burn through them pretty quick. Well viewers, that's a pretty glorious looking finish on there, isn't it? Shame to rub it on this piece of sandpaper, but I'm going to have to because I need to check that it's flat. A few high spots in it, and I thought it did have, that's why I want to check it. One there and one there. They're coming off. Getting there. Oh, I'll show you when I'm done. Well, this one's coming up pretty well. Just a little bit here now, and a little bit there, a little bit here. I've got to cut 20mm off this, and this end here is, you know, where you can see that it goes like that right at the end. So that's the end that'll get cut off. But it looks like coming over rain, and I best clean up this mess. I've got a mountain of grinding dust here, and it'll turn into a mountain of rust if I don't. This is the other one. I gave it a quick draw file before and a bit of a rub on there. But this one is almost a perfect 60 degrees. But this one is a bit out, so I'm going to have to grind it, put it back in my grinding jig and grind it, and then I'll finish it off in the sandpaper tomorrow. But I'll get this up. Well, there they are, viewers. At this point in time, if you've been enjoying this build, how about giving it a great big thumbs up and smashing that like button, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Well, I didn't spend as much time cutting this second face off yesterday, obviously, because it took me an hour and a half to grind it flat this morning, or at least to grind it down to a reasonable level. I still haven't finished playing with this one here yet, and the other one's still got this one's got a couple of bits like that in it, but she fits in there bloody beautifully now. Now the only issue I've got, and because down under here, these rails, especially once the gib goes in on this side here, they only sit on about that much of that rail underneath there, and I don't want, and this thing is bloody heavy. I don't really want that little tiny bit under there carrying all that weight, so I want it to sit across and run on these, and that sits up about 1mm above it, so I'm going to have to mill a bit off just a little bit off the inside of these to make them sit lower, so that this will actually run on there, both sides. But anyway, I've still got 48 holes to drill and tap in there, and then I'm going to have to drill and tap holes that bolt these onto there. So we're at around 20 minutes again, and as much as I don't want to do it, I think I'll make this 4 parts, and this will be the end of part 3. So join me next weekend for part 4, because the ultimate aim of this whole thing was to turn this XY vise into an XY table, and there's the table, and it's not ready to be put on there, and still a bit of work to do. So I'll do all that during the week next week, and I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.